Testing, testing. All right. If you're just logging on, if you're just watching the video, whatever the case may be, I'm trying to keep this video as short as possible, but just skip ahead to like 1 minute because I'll just start up at like at minute one. So I'm gonna try to keep this video as short as possible. I told you guys I was gonna come on again today, so I'm coming on again today. So again, skip to 1 minute if you just want to see the video and not wait for people to log on. I'm a little bit late. I told you guys at 3, but I'm just a tad bit late on it, so I do apologize. But again, skip to ahead to 1 minute, and I'll just start up. Um, got a sheet of stuff to go through. I try to be, man. Damn it, I tried to be. Just running a little bit late, but I told you I'll be here, so I'll be here. But start up in like 10 seconds. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Welcome to the Church of Fuck You. I'm St. Patrick. Actually doing a video today on how progressives and the Ku Klux Klan, white supremacists, they kind of share the same values. I'm not gonna be in here that long, so they share the same values, they share the same beliefs, they have the same mindset when it comes to minorities. There's 5 different ways, and I'm sure there's much more, but there's 5 different ones that I want to point out and highlight how, if you look at how, what they believe and what white, progressives believe and what white supremacists believe, or what, KKK believe, you kind of see that they share pretty much the same mindset when it comes to minorities. They have the same understanding when it comes to minorities. Okay, so there's 5 quick ones. I'm gonna try to get through this as fast as possible, just so I don't have to make this a super long video. So number 5, for the longest time, white supremacists, KKK, they look at black people as animals, and they treated them like animals, and they exploited them like animals. And if you actually look at it, like a lot of these progressive DAs in certain states and certain cities, they actually have the exact same mindset. Okay, so it's unfair to treat an animal badly for acting like an animal. So if you look at a lot of these DAs in these cities, they will quickly, let people out of jail. A black person kills somebody on Monday, they're out of jail on Tuesday. Why get mad at that person for acting his normal nature? Why get mad at that person? Why treat that person and put that person in jail for being his normal self or her normal self? That's what they do. That's how animals are. So when all these riots broke out a couple years ago, and everything was getting burned down, and cities were on fire, and people were getting killed, and all this other crazy shit, they didn't prosecute them. They didn't care. They didn't send the police in to stop the people that were rioting and going crazy. Which there were some white people. I'm sorry, some white people, quite a few white people, but there were some black people as well. But think about it, like they just let them burn everything down. And it wasn't because they, freedom to protest, and they have a First Amendment right to, protest their differences. No one has a First Amendment right to burn down a house, or to go in a pawn shop and kill someone, or to set up, zones like in Atlanta where a gentleman was trying to get into a parking lot. They told him no. Then they start shooting in the car and shot and killed his, I believe, 8-year-old daughter. All right, everyone should lose their mind over this, but progressives, far left, they don't, because they're animals. They're acting their normal self. So when they burn something down, that's just them being them. When they murder, when they kill, that's just them being them. When they go into places like in California now, I believe it's like certain cities like San Francisco, they have a threshold where um, I believe it's like $1,000, under $1,000. Anything stolen under $1,000, they don't prosecute. They let them go. In New York, you can now rob someone with a gun, and as long as you don't use the gun, it's not a charge. They charge you with a misdemeanor. And normal people look at it and say, that's just shit is fucking crazy. But in their mindset, these are just animals being animals. Now, what other group would actually, condone stuff like this, especially when it comes to minorities, especially when it comes to black people, killing black people, stealing from black people, burning down things, rioting and all this other crazy stuff? What other group can you think of would say that that's understandable that these black people are acting that way? The fucking KKK, because that's how they look at them. The next one, black people are incapable of doing normal things that other people can do. All right, so think about this. They look at them in a mindset that they are lower than I guess normal humans, which is why again I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because I've beaten this dead horse to the fullest. Is why expecting a black person to have ID to vote is racist. You can't expect black people to have ID to vote. When would a black person get a driver's license? When would a black person get an ID? It's not like they have a job. It's not like they have a bank account. It's not like they even have a fucking gym membership. I mean, how do you expect a black person to prove their identity to be able to vote? That's just flat out racist. Now, what other group in the world who would think that black people are incapable of getting an ID? Incapable of having a bank account or a job or drive a car legally or anything like that? I mean, you can't even get your COVID vaccine shot without showing your ID. So, what other group in the world besides progressives would think that it is absurd to expect a black person to have an ID? Because for a person to have a job and a person to have a car and a person to have all these other things, they need an ID. But it's absurd to think black people would be incapable of getting that. I can only think of one other group. Next one. Blacks are less intelligent than white people. And this is full on strong, no bull. Black people are less intelligent and less intelligent than white people. Now, let me explain how they're doing this. If you look at a lot of these colleges, they're now, and even schools, period, they now are saying that math is racist. English is racist. Expecting black people to know and be able to take certain tests is racist. So they're doing away with those tests. You have colleges now that do not demand their students write in proper English because that's racist. Why? Because minorities in their mind can't write in proper English. They can't complete a sentence and sound educated. That's racist to expect them to do that. You can't expect black people to know math and be able to figure out, trigonometry or calculus and things like that. That is racist. That's white people math. You can't expect black people to know certain things like that. Now, what other group in the world would ever consider that black people are far less intelligent than white people, so they need to dumb down education in order for them to succeed? It's progressives. And it's the fucking Nazis, the KKK, the white supremacists, all these fucking people who think and feel this way, that everything is racist because black people, we can't expect minorities to be able to do this. We can't expect minorities to be able to formulate a sentence properly and put it on a piece of paper so that I can read it and understand it. So we need to do away with demanding our students write in proper English. What kind of shit is that? You're going to school to get dumber. You're supposed to go to school to elevate the person, but these people, again, a lot of them, I want to say all, because I don't want to generalize, but a lot of them are fucking progressive, woke teachers who feel like expecting a black kid from, Detroit, or expecting a black kid from LA to understand proper English or to be able to to be able to complete a math equation. It's too much of an expectation. You're literally saying black people are too stupid to do anything. And again, what other group feels this way? My personal all-time favorite that apparently now is starting to come back is segregation. And you may think I'm joking. You may think I'm, bullshitting. I'm not. Colleges now have separate graduations, some for black, some for white. They have separate housing, black housing, white housing. They even have on some college campuses, and you can read this if you just Google it, and I'm not even being facetious or anything crazy. I'm not making this shit up. They have separate cafes. Black people can go to one cafe, white people can go to another cafe. And again, I'm not going to say all, but some progressives believe in this dumb shit. Now, what other group can you think of believes that black people should have their own space and white people should have their own space? Just take a wild guess. I've said this shit for years, and I'll keep saying it till I die. Progressives are progressing their ass back to the 1800s, and they are doing it on purpose. I used to think it was a joke, or they're just being funny, or if they don't know history. They know what the fuck they're doing. All right, you have college kids, and they've done interviews and asked people. We have college kids, mainly white kids, who think it's perfectly acceptable to have black spaces and white spaces. That's fucking segregation. And I love how some people say, well, no, you don't understand. Democrats are, the KKK. It's switched parties. Yeah, the KKK was started by Democrats and it was made up of Democrats. And Democrats actually pushed all this shit. But years ago, it switched. Then the Republicans became the Nazis and the KKK. The Democrats became we love except everybody. Oh, really? Because there's a prominent Democrat who was strongly against desegregation. There was a prominent Democrat who fought against mixing blacks and whites in the same school. There was a prominent Democrat who said he did not want his children going to a racial jungle. And this prominent Democrat was just fucking elected president a couple years ago. So tell me how it switched parties. Tell me when the parties switched. Because you have a Democrat now who was pushing segregation, who fought against desegregation, who said he didn't want his kids to go to a racial jungle, still a fucking Democrat, now the president, and you guys cheer for him. So when did the parties switch? And I'm sorry, I don't see Republicans, segregating schools. I don't see Republicans demanding that, we stop teaching minorities math and English because they won't be able to understand it or comprehend it or they won't get it. I damn sure don't see, conservatives or Republicans doing shit like that. So again, when did it switch? And why are we now all of a sudden, it's the evil Republicans who are, they're the racists? Because again, all of the shit that I've just said, these are progressive ideas. And it's so funny how the progressive ideas line exactly the same way up with the neo-Nazis and the KKK and and all this other crazy shit. All these, white supremacist groups believe the exact same shit they do. My biggest one, and this is the biggest sign ever that you already know that what they believe is rooted in just flat out white supremacist shit. What is the difference between white power and white privilege? And I know somebody, well, white power is associated with racism, and and white privilege is white people identifying that they have a privilege. It's the same fucking thing. They're just dressing it up in a nicer term. If you get at the underlying root of white privilege is say, I am better than you. My life will be better than yours. My life will be easier than yours. And I can do far more things than you can simply because I am white and you are not. What other group feels this way? What other group feels that their life is naturally better than yours simply based on the color of their skin? What other group gives a shit so much about identity politics? Are you blonde hair, blue eyed? Then your life is going to be amazing. Are you black? Your life is going to fucking suck. Not because of who you are, but because of what you are. And no other group that I can think of, if progressives want to say this is their original idea, felt this way besides fucking white supremacists, that their life is naturally better, going to be better. They can do whatever they want to do simply because they're white. And I know some people would say, well, white privilege is white people recognizing that they do have privilege and they're fighting against it. How are you fighting against it? I have yet to see one person who claimed to recognize their white privilege give up their privilege for a minority. All these talking heads on TV, these, football coaches and basketball coaches and all these people running around, white privilege is horrible. They're still there. All these kids in college, I haven't seen one college kid say, you know what, I'm going to drop out of this school. I'm going to drop out of this Ivy League school and I demand my spot be given to a minority. I'm going to, quit my job at this news organization and I demand my spot be given to a minority. Not one of them. None of them have done that. So it's like, if you look at it again as white power and white privilege, they're pretty much saying the same exact thing. They're just trying to dress it up and be a little more prettier and be a little, more, I would say, socially acceptable, just because it's socially acceptable to say white privilege, and white privilege is bad. White privilege is evil. I'm not giving up my white privilege. I'm still going to use my white privilege to get ahead and get my job and get my car and get my kids into the best schools and live in my gated community where you minorities are not allowed to come in here. All right. I'll keep my white privilege to live in my fancy schools and, I'm start living in my fancy neighborhoods so my kids can go to the best schools. But don't you ever think about crossing those lines and coming over to our school with school choice. No. You can have, you stay in those shitty schools. Don't bring those little niggas over here. where my kids are living high, getting the best education, where they teach them math and English and everything. No, no, no. You stay in those shit schools where they barely teach. They're teaching you gender identity because that's what all you need to care about. That's all you need to worry about. Don't bring your black kids to my school. But yeah, I feel so bad because of white privilege. It's bullshit. All right. Again, they are more focused on what you are than who you are. And as progressives and as the fucking KKK, they share that. They're the only groups of people in this fucking world, and I'm sorry, not only, but they are the main two groups in this people in this world who have, and KKK don't even have a voice, but who has the loudest fucking voices screaming about white people being better than other people simply because they're white. That's it. And they could try to play it as, oh, it's a system. We're just talking about the system, yada, yada, yada. No, 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 no. You're at the underlying root of your argument is white people are better because we're white. You call it power. We call it privilege. But it's the same fucking thing. All right, man, that's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is St. Patrick. I told you I would keep this short. I'm out.